Chloe. I am your host, and as always, I'm so happy to have you guys here with me today to talk about the fiber arts. So for this episode, that is going to entail some knitting, some spinning, some natural plant dyeing that I've been getting into, and just some maker plans that I have for 2020 since it is a new year. But first, if you'd like to find me on social media, I am at Zoe Nichols on Instagram and Ravelry, and you can find my hand-dyed yarns on Etsy under shop name of Felicity Yarn Studio. So how have y'all been? I hope that everyone had a good holiday season, that, you got everything that you wanted, and if not, treat yourself. That's my philosophy. This was kind of an early Christmas present to myself. This mug from Emma Eli Pottery that I purchased at the Carolina Pottery Festival here in Shelby, and that was back in November. But I'm going to put this down behind me. So I think I showed off my mug on Vlogmas as well. So if you haven't already seen those videos, go ahead and check those out. I'm uploading the last chapter now that I'm finally recording a podcast episode. I just never found a good time to film my little outro and get that uploaded. But anyway, we are here for knitting and fibery content. Let me look at my notes. So I do actually have one finished object, but I can't show it to y'all because it got mailed off in a swap that I participated in. But I do think I have a picture that I'm going to pop on the screen for you. And this is I believe it's called In a Snap hat by Tin Can Knits. It is a paid for pattern by them, but it wasn't terribly expensive if I remember correctly. And I do plan on making it again. So yeah, I don't mind paying for a Tin Can Knits pattern considering they put so many free ones out there. But this hat, you hold, it's either 3 or 4 strands of fingering weight yarn to get like a chunky weight. And then you can just kind of marl colors in and out to make kind of a fade. So that is what I did for this hat, which again got sent off to California, I believe. But anyway, yeah, it was a really quick knit. I think I made it in an afternoon. I think I'm going to make a couple more. I want one for myself, and I think they'll be really good like gift knits, especially considering I have so much fingering weight yarn, especially minis and like leftovers from my Battenberg blankets, and I have more than enough fingering weight scraps and minis to make a bunch of hats. Now we're going to move on to works in progress. Apologies if it seems like I am flying through things today. It's just that I have a ton of stuff to get through. And yeah, I don't want to make this a crazy long episode. So the last time we spoke, I was getting ready to cast on a new pair of socks with the self-striping yarn that I dyed up to take as travel knitting with me. I did start those, however, I don't know what I was doing, but my stitch count got all messed up before I even had the toes done. Like I had way more stitches on one side than on the other. So I took them off the needles and I frogged them. I do want to start them up again because I do need kind of a travel knitting project to be taken with me. So that's my self-striping socks. The next kind of whip that I have going on, it's like my only whip right now, is the test knit that I decided to do. And this is the Sorrel sweater, and that is by Wool and Pine, who is a design collab between Selena of Dank Fiber and Abby Knits. I'm assuming her name is Abby. So this design is a top-down yoke sweater with like a slip stitch pattern. It's sort of a slip stitch. And it's knit using fingering weight and a mohair lace weight yarn held together. So I dyed up some yarn for this, and I will be dyeing up these colors to have in the shop in the not too distant future. So actually, once you get past the yoke, it's actually knit inside out because it's reverse stockinette on the body. So let me flip this. And the pattern does call for fading. And at first I was just gonna do all one color. But then right as I cast on and I did the neckline, I did the collar rather, I found a little tiny bit of white mohair left over, so I just used the white mohair with my first color, and then right around here I started fading it in with the mohair that matched that color. And then right around here is where you'll see the next color kind of coming in right here. I don't know if that got caught on screen. But anyway, I did most of the body in that darker pink color, which I believe I'm calling Bubblegum Grunge. And then I was almost done with the body when I decided I kind of wanted to fade into another color down here, just to give it a little bit more interest. So I dyed up this color, which I haven't even named or anything yet. It's kind of a nice lavender, silvery, mauvey color. It's got speckles of like iris purple, like deep dark burgundy, like the color of my lipstick, and actually some green speckles on there, some dark green speckles. So yeah, I'm really enjoying this. I'm really loving, I love the way that a fade looks on the like garter stitch side of things. I think it's just way more natural looking of a fade. I do kind of wish that I had faded a little bit more down here, so it wasn't quite so stark of a contrast, but I played more with fading with the like the purple and the pink mohairs here rather than like both the mohair and the fingering weight held together with the other fingering weight and mohair, if that makes sense. So anyway, so today is January 7th. This pattern gets released on January 15th. My birthday is the 14th. So I'd really like to have this finished on the 13th so I can wear it out on the 14th and get some pictures taken. I am probably at the point where I'm ready to start the ribbing for the body. I may have another like half an inch or an inch to go. So I should be able to knock out the body today and hopefully start a sleeve today as well. And then, yeah, sleeves should only take a couple of days each to get those done. So yeah, I'm really pleased with how this is working up. Again, I am planning on dyeing a ton of yarn in the next few weeks. So I will have all of these colors available in my shop, and I will be sure to let y'all know either on the next episode or follow me on Instagram. That's usually where I post my updates. So yeah, my sorrel sweater is coming along. I have been knitting this almost monogamously. Again, other than when I tried to work on those socks and I messed them up, and then I started something else that I'm getting ready to show y'all, because I just needed a break a couple of days ago, since I have been working on this kind of nonstop. That being said, it's a great pattern. It's well written. The charts are easy to read. Yeah, I would definitely say check that out if you are interested. But yeah, back to the point I was making. I just really, again, needed something kind of mindless and quick and easy. So I have had this yarn pulled out of my stash for a while now because I've been wanting to do something with it. And I just decided to cast on some big chunky like house socks. Will probably wind up being more along the lines of slippers. But yeah, I started the sock a couple days ago. I had started doing a few other things. I'm not entirely sure I'm thrilled with how this is looking right now that I pulled it back out of the bag. Again, I'm totally improvising here. I think I cast on like 6 stitches for the toe and started increasing. But anyway, this is Juniper Moon in Moonshine Chunky. It is a 40% alpaca, 40% wool, 20% silk blend. So the silk should give it enough strength to act as a sock, which it feels a little bit naughty to be making socks out of such a kind of luxurious blend, but we all need a little bit of pampering in our lives. I'm especially big on the pampering right now since like Christmas just happened and my birthday's in January, so I'm always like splurge, splurge, splurge. But anyway, yeah, I have these 2 colors. I have the blue and this like taupey gray color. These were a gift from my mom a few years ago, and like I said, I've kind of had them pulled out and sitting next to me because I've known for a while that I wanted to make some kind of slippers or something out of these. I did start doing a little bit of color work. Again, just kind of making stuff up as I went along, but I wasn't really feeling it. And I started to get worried about yardage, so I ripped that back and just went with plain vanilla socks for now. So I don't know where this is going to leave me yardage wise. I may have to do 1 blue sock, 1 gray sock, or I should have done a contrast toe and heel. I will still probably do a contrast heel. I don't know. We'll see. I may rip them out and just make something completely different with it. We'll see. This is just to clear my mind and to make it so that I can get back into the swirl. So anyway, yeah, that is it as far as whips go for me. I haven't worked on anything else since the last time we chatted. I have done a little bit of spinning, and I believe I told y'all back in November or early December that I was going to take a break from spinning in December. I definitely cut back a lot on how much time I was spending on spinning to work on the sorrel. But I did manage to get a couple of things done. I don't know where it is. I thought I had it with me. I did finish playing together some more the Echo View and kind of closer to a fingering weight spin. But again, it's just plain white yarn. There's nothing really special to talk about with that. The main thing that I worked on was I spun up the Rolex that I bought like before I had my wheel. And I did a fractal spin with these. So it's really pretty. And actually I'll probably pop some footage on the screen of what I'm talking about that I took yesterday. So a fractal spin, if you're not familiar, means that I think normally it's used with like 1 long piece of roving that is a gradient. I had a bunch of Rolex that were all kind of like mini gradients. So what you would do with a braid is you would split it in half. You'd have 2 halves. This first half you would spin from top to bottom, all 1 long gradient. And then the other half you would then divide into much thinner strips and do like multiple tiny repeats that you ply with the long repeat. I really hope I'm making sense here. So what I did with the Rolex instead was I took half of my Rolex and like I spun all of the peach parts, and then I moved into that kind of like transition like cream beigey part, and then I spun all of the green parts on those half of the Rolex, and then I took the other 4 and just spun them straight end to end. So peach, middle, green, peach, middle, green. So when I apply them together, you can kind of see how you get repeats, but not really repeats, and you kind of get striping, but not really striping. I just think it's a nice way to show off hand spun yarn. So yeah, this will be going into my Dathan pullover. It's the pattern by Kate Davies. It calls for 15 different colors in this very busy striped sweater. But what I've done is I've been on the hunt for any kind of spinning fiber within this peach to seafoam kind of neon-y family, and I want to spin a bunch of stuff to use in that sweater. So actually I'll go ahead and show y'all the next thing that I plan on spinning, which is also going to segue into acquisitions. So I think I showed y'all the spinning mermaid braid on my last podcast that I'm going to use with this, and this is the next thing that I plan on spinning. This is from Spun Right Round, and the colorway is called Take a Dip. If you're not familiar, I love her yarn. I love her fiber. It's always beautiful. I got a fun little sticker. Gotta find somewhere special for that. But anyway, here it is out of the plastic. It's this really gorgeous seafoamy, tealy, greeny blue. One of my favorite colors, or color families, I should say. And this is 100% merino. Okay. So yeah, everything that I'm spinning, I'm trying to do as like 100% wool. Basically just no sparkle. Why does all the spinning fiber have sparkle in it, y'all? This drives me insane. I have been on Etsy for hours looking for bats, rollags, anything with no sparkle. I don't wear a lot of sparkle. I don't really want to spin it. I don't really want to knit with it either. It's pretty to look at. Anyway, minor tangent there. All right, for the Dathan pullover, it calls for 15 colors, but you only need 25 grams of each color. Well, based off of the way that I spun this, I feel like it would actually count as like 3 colors, because I'm going to have the main peach section and the main turquoise or seafoamy section. It's not really turquoise. And then kind of the in-between section. So like this will count as 3 colors. I'm not sure what this will wind up spinning up looking like. I may use it for one color, I may use it for more. I don't know. I think when I had talked about spinning the rollags last time, I had talked about like maybe spinning all of the peach together and having like a peach mini skein. I don't know. It was too much work. It hurt my brain trying to figure out and weigh the rollags, and so I just spun it. I think I'm a little bit of a control freak, and spinning is teaching me to let go a little bit. So yeah, I am looking forward to starting this next braid, and to kind of collecting all of these hand spun skeins so I can make a really special sweater. All right, so that's it for spinning. Acquisitions. I've been kind of going on a fiber spree, and I just don't have time to show y'all everything that I got myself for Christmas and birthday presents. So again, this is the next thing I was gonna spin, so that's why I decided to show y'all today. I'm gonna save some of those other ones for the next few episodes and for whenever I get around to spinning them. One thing that I did receive as a present, I received some yarn from my brother for a Christmas present. And this is Sourwood Farms in Fletcher, North Carolina. And this is Shetland wool. It is about an aran weight, I believe. So yeah, it's some local wool, and I believe he picked this up at Pearl's Yarn Emporium, which is a yarn shop in Nashville that I have been to. This is really, really soft. It reminds me color-wise also of the yarn that I've been using in my Urban Jungle hat. But I am thinking a cowl or hat and cowl combo potentially. I just think that this would be something really cozy around the neck. It's not prickly at all. That, or maybe I go back, or I see they have an Etsy shop. Maybe I'll see if they have a sweaters quantity available. So yeah, this may just sit in my stash for a while until I figure out what I'm going to do with it. But it's some really beautiful local yarn, and thank you, Peter. Finally, I don't really know if you can call it an acquisition, but I did do a swap with the lovely Susie of the Elderflower Stitches podcast, and I received her package during Vlogmas. I did a little bit of an unboxing on my last Vlogmas video, but I wanted to kind of go over everything in depth and share all the goodies that she sent with y'all. So I just put everything in this tote bag for now. Keep the cats out of it. I'm just gonna pull stuff out of this bag at random. There is a magnet that she sent that's already on our fridge downstairs, so sorry. Let's see. The first thing that is probably one of my favorites that she sent is this skein of her own hand-dyed yarn, and this is her Beatrice colorway, which is dyed after her pretty little kitty cat. I love that little hint of pink on the back there. Another one of her yarns that she sent is the Gypsophilia Baby's Breath that she dyed up, and this is a really pretty color. Also, there's like hints of green and peach in there. These might make a really nice like fade together or something. I don't know. All right, so then I had mentioned to her how much I loved Dandelion and Dogwood yarn, which I'm really kicking myself for not buying their advent calendar. I will be getting one next year. But anyway, she sent this lovely, lovely skein of the colorway Frenemies. And it is like the perfect nude peach color with some gray splotches. And I really love this colorway. Don't know what I'm going to do with it yet. I'm just kind of collecting things at this point. The next thing I have pulled out here is also from Susie's yarn collection. This is from her ballet collection, called, and this little mini set is called Pirouettes. And again, a lovely soft mixture of kind of like nudes and pinks. It really does look like all the shades of like ballet slippers and tights. So I kind of have an idea for this one, which I'll get to in a minute. And then this other lovely, gorgeous skein of yarn from Nora George Yarns, which her stuff is always beautiful. And this is my first Nora George in the colorway Sakura. It's really pretty. So this is absolutely gorgeous, and like I said, I kind of have something in mind, these two, with some things that I will get to in a minute. So thank you, Susie, for the gorgeous yarn here. I'm completely spoiled rotten, and this is not the end. I told y'all she spoiled me, and I got some gorgeous pins for my pin collection. How cute are all of these? I love this one in the middle. And I am definitely a cat lady. Darcy's sitting here in front of me, but y'all can't see her. I got this really sweet little keychain, which reminded me so much of our trip earlier in March. I remember Naomi and I geeking out over a red telephone box. I think we were at Edinburgh Castle when we saw that. It was just iconic. It was perfect. And then she also sent some, I want to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. She also sent these maker project note cards from So Ray Me, who is Rachel, who also has a podcast. I'm really looking forward to digging into these and taking some notes. I might actually make this my little spinning notebook because I have not designated anything for spinning just yet. And I'm kind of getting to that point where I haven't been tagging things and like what they're made or how they're spun and all of that jazz. So that's going to come in handy as a place to track all of my spinning. And then she sent some lovely postcards, which I did show off on Vlogmas. I won't show them to y'all again. This really, really makes me want to travel again. Naomi and I are scheming, trying to take another trip here soon. And lastly, I got some candy. Yay! I love peppermint. So I'm looking forward to digging into this. So yeah, again, giant thank you to Susie. It was so much fun swapping with you and getting to know you. Y'all should go check out her YouTube channel, check out her Etsy shop. She does ship internationally. I'm a big baby and freak out anytime I have to ship anything internationally. So unfortunately my shop is currently only domestic shipping. Anyway. Alright guys, so that is going to be it for acquisitions. Actually on the same day that I opened this package from Susie, we got the okay to open our package in the Facebook group that I'm in, the other swap that I did. But I think I'm going to save that for next time for a couple of reasons. Just I have too much to get through today, but also Naomi and I are running a little bit of a knit along, and it's a no, sort of a no spend cow. I don't know. Her and I just kind of have a personal no spend thing going on right now. So I won't have a ton of acquisitions to show y'all in the near future. So I'm going to save that swap package to share with y'all on the next episode. So I think what I'll segue next into from here is kind of my Make 9 plans, because actually some of these things that Susie sent kind of rounds out one of the projects that I have had in mind. So last year I made a Make 9 grid, and I managed to knit absolutely nothing on that list. I did start one of them. I started a Tenya by Caitlin Hunter, and I wound up ripping it out because the yarn wasn't right, and it was a giant pain in the neck. So I actually have new yarn, and that is on my list for this year's Make 9. So what I did was actually I went through my stash and I kind of pulled everything that I have enough for a project. And I'm really trying to knit from stash and not spend any money right now. So I thought that I would run through the yarn and kind of the patterns that I have in mind. Hopefully I can remember them all, because I don't think I've written down as much as I should have here. So the first thing I guess that I'll show y'all is my Tenya yarn, which you may have seen. I purchased some yarn from Echo View Fiber Mill earlier. I actually did this during Vlogtober. So I'm not sure the name of this color. It was one of the ones that it was kind of like a test run for some of their spring 2019 colorways that they wound up not producing. So the mill membership is $25 a year, and you get access to a secret part of their website where they have heavily discounted things that either didn't spin up at the right weight, or again, like a color that they didn't use, or they have a lot of fiber there for spinning with. So yeah, if you're looking for a discount, if you're spending, you know, making like more than 2 orders with them, I definitely think it's worth the $25 to get some discounted yarn, because I think I might have paid like $35, $36 for all of this for a new Tanya, and this is a 50% wool, 50% tencel. No, I think it's 50% wool, 50% bamboo blend. Viscose is bamboo, I believe. Anyway, it's this nice purple color. So my Tanya is probably going to be like a spring knit so that I can hopefully have it for summer. When we were in Scotland at the Edinburgh Yarn Festival, of course La Bien-Aimée was vending there, and I knew I wanted to pick up a fade from them. So I picked this up, and it has been sitting in my stash for a year now. This is a fade that I put together like at the table while we were there. It wasn't like pre-made by them or anything. So when I got this, I picked everything out originally thinking I would make the Fading Point shawl by Joji Locatelli. That is still on my list, but I have found different yarn to use because this is sport weight yarn. I probably didn't realize it at the time as I was picking it out, just because of the madness of festivals and whatnot. I guess I'll pull these out and show you all the colors. This one is called Jonah, Jonna, Jonah. I was really drawn to this hunter green color last spring when we were in Edinburgh. I don't know why. It's kind of something I want to try dyeing up also. So then the next one here is Sand Sock. And then we have Pyogo. This one is La Belle Epoque. And this color is just everything. It's gorgeous. Damask. Anyway, so this will make a really gorgeous fade whenever I get around to making it. I think what I want to do now, instead of a Fading Point shawl, because I was going to be really close on yardage for that. Actually, I would have been a little bit short on yardage for that. I think I'm going to do a different Joji pattern, and that is the Spectre sweater, which is actually quite similar to the Sorrel sweater in that it has kind of a slip stitch pattern, and you eventually knit it inside out because it is reverse stockinette on the outside. No mohair held with it. And I'm kind of doing a similar color palette also. At least the top part is, or would be. So yeah, I do want to make Spectre. I know Naomi might want to make it or has talked about making it, and Aunt Mary has talked about making it as well. So we may kind of do a little informal knit along, like within our little messenger chat group that we have at some point. So yeah, so that is the second thing on my list. Let me put these away. Oh, you know what I just found? I just rearranged and I found a set of stitch markers that Susie sent me as well. How cute are those little wishbone set? I guess I can actually use these now. I guess since I've talked about it, I do still want to make a Fading Point shawl. And I have had these colors in my stash for the longest time. I don't know if these are all the ones that I'm going to use or if they're in the order that I want to use. But I was thinking with these two that Susie sent, there's got to be a fade in there somewhere. There's 6 colors there, or 6 100-gram sets of yarn. And that only calls for 5 skeins. So I think, I don't know if this coral, neon coral peach color is too much at the end there. I think it might be. So I definitely like these 4 together and maybe rearrange them a little bit. I don't know. I've played around with these for hours. And then maybe something with the pirouette set over here. Because like I could fade in kind of these colors up here, but then the pink with the more pinky skeins. So this is definitely something that I'm really looking forward to knitting. I love these colors. I love these skeins. Like I said, I've been holding on to some of these for almost 2 years now. Just looking for the right kind of pieces to complete this fade. Oh, that's right. This goes with a different fade set. So yes, my fading point will be my 3rd thing that I would like to make for Make 9, which leads us to this fade combo set that I have pieced together over the years. And actually, before I move on, this is Hedgehog Fibers and the colorway Granny, Nora George Yarns. Ching Fiber, this is colorway Oyster. This one is super pretty. And then this is Olon in the colorway Origins. I love this one. So yes, so this will be my fading point. All right, so that means next I want to knit either like a flat slate pullover or another basic raglan pullover. Basically something to mimic a no-frills sweater combined with the not Find Your Fade, whatever the fade sweater is. Anyway, I want another fade sweater. So this will be my 3rd fade sweater. But I think what I want to do with these colors is, because they're so vibrant, is I think I'm going to hold just plain white mohair with all of these and let the yarn do all the fading on this. This is a skein from Yarn Experiments that I picked up about 2 years ago, actually a little more than that, before we moved out here. It was on one of the trips where we were kind of scoping things out, and we hit a yarn shop in the mountains that sadly is no longer in business, but I've been holding on to this skein, looking for something special to do with it for a long time now. Then this summer I dyed up one of my colorways, which is Little Sister, which looks very, very similar. So I think those two would fade really well together. Then I have this skein of junk yarn in the, Yarn Experiments. The colorway is Kohari, which I believe is one of the local Native American tribes that historically has lived in the mountains of North Carolina. So yeah, so then next one I have here is junk yarn. This is the colorway Leslie. And I bought this 2 years ago for my birthday when I bought a bunch of other junk yarn at Charlotte Yarns. And I've been holding on to this one for a while too, so I really want to use this up. So those are those 3 together. Then I bought this skein of Kindred Red called Aqua Chakra. Aqua Chakra. I found this on a D-stash on Ravelry a couple years ago, and again, these have kind of all been sitting in my bin together. Like, what are we going to be when we grow up? I don't know. Actually, I think what I'm going to do, I think the order that I like them best in is like this. Like that. So then, yes, the last one would be this last skein of Olan in the Mac-Cumail, M-A-C space C-U-M-H-A-I-L-L. That really pretty corally neon-y peach color. So yeah, I think this held with some white mohair would make a really pretty fade sweater. I'm just looking for another kind of basic raglan sweater to chuck on during the day. My sorrel sweater is going to be kind of my nice formal mohairy sweater, and I want this to be kind of my everyday, like just throw it on and run up to the store type thing. And that has been on my like want to make list for a while now. So looking forward to that. All right, so next thing that I would like to make is a pair of socks. It's actually a couple pairs of socks I want to make. But specifically I want to use this skein of yarn, which is from the Little Gray Sheep. It was another EYF purchase. It's so soft and so pretty. It does have some nylon in it, if I remember correctly. So this is British Steinfine wool sock, and I really loved their story when I came across it in my research before our trip. They are very sustainably minded and are very into like, what am I trying to say? They look at every aspect of raising the sheep and what it does for the soil and for the farm, and I just really love that kind of whole picture mentality. Not to mention it's crazy soft and crazy beautifully dyed yarn. So it says, from a small family farm on the Surrey-Hampshire borders, our Steinfine wool sheep are raised with love, sheared by Susie at Christmas, before being tucked up in the barn for the finest quality fleece. Washed in Yorkshire and spun by John Arbin and Devon, then back to the farm to be hand-dyed by Emma. We have added some of the softest European merino and a touch of nylon to make your socks last even longer. So I actually bought this and another color that's very similar to this. It's not as yellowy, it's more just grays and blues. And I actually bought a little mini set of sock yarn also from them. So I don't know, this was just the skein that was speaking to me the most as far as wanting to be used this year. So I'd really love to make some nice cozy socks, perhaps before the winter sets in. All right, so that's 5 projects. For number 6, I would like to use the skein of a Verb for Keeping Warm in the floating base, and this is the craziest, softest yarn I have ever felt in my life. It's the most I've ever splurged on a skein of yarn also. I also got this at EYF at Isolde's booth. This colorway is quartz, and it is 70% alpaca, 20% silk, and 10% cashmere. This is so soft and so luxurious. What I would like to make, I'm totally blanking on the name of the pattern, I'll pop it on screen. It's a shawl, and it's basically a giant square, but what you do is you start at the bottom with one of your skeins. So I'll start with this one, knit, 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 knit. Just keep increasing till you get it as wide as you want, and then when it's that wide, you switch to a second skein of yarn, and you're supposed to play with texture and color. So a lot of people have done it with a skein of mohair, and then so you would knit and close it up and you'd have a square, but you fold it in half and then you have a triangle shape for a shawl. I saw one that used black mohair, and the effect was really interesting. layered with something underneath it. They just look like multiple different colors and different fabrics. So I think I want to dye up some mohair, just a plain black, and knit these together, or knit that shawl. I really can't remember the name. I had earlier in the year bought that mohair from Farmer's Daughter, thinking I could use it with this and that it would be a nice kind of neutral, but it was really warm tone, and I feel like this skein is really cool toned. So I think I tend to gravitate more towards warmer colors. So it was hard for me to find a mohair or something that would work with this. So I decided I'm just gonna dye up some black, and that is gonna be it. So yeah, this might be a nice kind of summer knit for when I want something a little bit lighter weight and not as like heavy in my lap all the time. Okay, so the other pair of socks specifically that I have on my Make 9 list, I saved these minis when I was working on my dotted race shawl. These are from Artemis Yarns, and they were from my advent calendar from 2018. And these three just never really fit in with the fade that I was doing for that shawl. And then this is the color. This is also from Artemis. I don't remember the name. This is the one that I did the I-cord bind off around the edge though. So I think I'm gonna do a little pair of fade shorty socks with these. And this is Dark Unicorn. I love this colorway. It was the very first one that I opened in the advent calendar. This is Chronos. I love the fact that all of her stuff is like Greek mythology based. That's really pretty. This is a happy dye underwater, so I believe that means it's like a one of a kind. So yeah, these ought to take no time whatsoever, especially if I'm doing 2 at a time, which if y'all missed the last episode, I am now a 2 at a time convert. But yeah, I was thinking I'd just keep this as like the toes and then like work cuff down for these. Probably just do some Rose City rollers or yeah, Rose City rollers, but I'm kind of thinking maybe a bit of a longer cuff just so I can utilize everything out of these, and I don't know, just want to change it up a little bit. Okay, project number 8 is a little bit ambiguous at this point. I have all of this wool, fingering weight wool, pure wool for like mittens or colorwork hat or something. These are some bits that I got at the Make Wool event at EYF, also from South Down Yarns, and it is like super duper soft. I believe they're lamb's wool. I don't think it says on here, but I'm pretty sure it was. This one has been dyed with indigo, and I was thinking about dyeing these little 10-gram minis as well with some of the natural or the plant dyes that I have brewing. We'll see. I'm not sure. It might be nice just kind of to leave them nice and white. But anyway, a lot of this is just a mixture of things. Actually, most of it is Echo View. This is some Brooklyn tweed left over from my diode hat. I believe this is some Green Mountain Spinnery, and I have more of this undyed, and I am going to dye some of this stuff up. I might have a few things from them I need to dye up. This is from Echo View, and this is a couple years old. This is some yarn that Peter gave me one year for Christmas. It's got really nice like tonal aspects to it. There's like some whites and kind of orangey colors coming through on there. This one is Green Mountain Spinnery, and this one is from Echo View. It's one that I picked up at their physical mill-end sale that they had a couple years ago. So yeah, I want to make, I just want to make more mittens and kind of small color work items and use up some of this yarn. What I'd really like to make is a pair of end paper mitts. I have made those in the past. I made a pair for me and I made a pair for Naomi when she lived out in Colorado. So it's probably been a good 6 or 7 years since I knit those. Mine have since worn holes in them and I definitely need a new pair. I made them out of like Knit Picks wool of the Andes when I made them. So yeah, I would like to make myself a new pair of fingerless mitts. And maybe just make some other mitts for presents and things. I don't know. I just like to use up some of this natural woolly wool that's a little bit special. Yeah, so that is number 8. And finally, the last thing we've already kind of talked about, and I'm considering my Dathan pullover as my 9th Make 9 thing, project goal. So yeah, this might literally take me all year if I'm spinning all of the yarn and then knitting it together, and that is okay. So again, these are where I'm at with that. And then I've got the Spinning Mermaid braid. I bought another bat from her that I'm saving to show y'all. So that's 4. Oh, I bought another bat from a different seller, but I'm not sure how I feel about those colors in relation to this project, and I may just spin that up. I kind of have another idea in the back of my mind for that. So yeah, so that is my Make 9 plans. We'll see how much of this actually gets made. I still want to make, off of my grid from last year, a Rambling Woman cardigan by Caitlin Hunter. And for that, my thought is I also want to start carrying non-superwash wool in the shop. So it is a steeked pattern. So I think it would be a good opportunity to be able to knit that and dye up some new colors and get a new base in the shop. So I don't know when that's going to be happening, but that is kind of on the back of my mind for 2020 plans. There's a couple other patterns, and mine was mainly Caitlin Hunter patterns last year. I really like the little cabin pattern, sweater pattern. I would like a Tecumseh, but I just don't have the desire to knit a Tecumseh. Oh, and the Carbeth by Kate Davies is another pattern that I have had on my wish list for about 2 years now. Ooh, maybe that's what I'll go and see if they have. I could knit a Carbeth out of this. It's almost heavy enough. Wheat yarn. I might need to look into that. Yeah, so all of that being said, so that's like Make 11 at this point, or 12. That being said, I have my whip 9s. Yeah, I have more than 9 whips laying around. I have my sorrel. I have my Advent shawl that I have not touched. I have stalactites, which is very close to being finished. I have my Battenberg blanket, which, whatever, I feel no pressure on that. I have my semi-precious blanket, which I would like to finish sooner rather than later. My Stardust mermaid socks that I need to make for Lily. I need to make her second sock. I did have her try that on while I was with her over Christmas. And then I have my Urban Jungle hat, my jig shawl, puzzle shawl, and I have a couple of other socks where I either started the cuff or I even have one where I've knit the whole first sock and I just need to make a second sock and it's just kind of lingering right now. So those are all kind of whips that I would like to clear out first and foremost. probably at least half of those before I start tackling my Make 9 for 2020. All right, so let's talk knit along. First, let me get my little spiel out of the way. So my sister is Naomi, who is the yarn curator. She has her own podcast and channel. Y'all should go check that out. But her and I have been talking a lot the last few months about just how we both feel overwhelmed by the amount of stash yarn that we have and all of the shopping that we did last year. We would both really like to save a little bit of money and potentially take another international trip sometime soon. So we decided we wanted to do a knit from your stash type of knit along for the beginning of the year. She and I are opening up a Ravelry group, a joint one for both of our podcasts, just to kind of take the burden, make it a little bit less for each of us, spread the workload around a little bit as far as that goes. But I believe we are calling it the New Year Old Stash Cal. And if you would like to join us, we're running it from January 1st through March 31st, even though, you know, we're well into January at this point. Her and I will probably be trying to do more of a personal challenge of like, see how long you can go without spending anything this year. But we're only going to run the Cal through the beginning, or through March 31st. And you can knit, you can crochet, make whatever you want from your stash. Whips are welcome, just like not like ones that you're this close to being done with, like maybe like 50% or less done with your whips. And in order to enter for prizes, I believe we will be doing a chatter thread and then a finished object thread in the Ravelry group. If you're not on Ravelry though and you like to join in, we'll be using the hashtag on Instagram of New Year Old Stash. So keep your eyes out for that. Yeah, I don't know if she's gonna have anything else to say on her channel. We'll see. I will be putting some stuff up in the shop here soon. I started extracting some plant-based dyes. I'm getting ready to put in a huge order of bare yarn so I can start dyeing these up. I have made dye stock from the pecan husks that you would have seen on Vlogmas. I actually have only processed about half of those, and I have like probably about 10 cups of dye stored in a bunch of jars in the fridge right now. So I'd like to maybe go ahead and use that dye stock up and then process the rest of pecan husks, because I might actually have more than half left. But that turned into this really pretty kind of golden dye stock color, so I'm really interested to see how that dyes up. So the second dye stock that I have been processing is from black beans, and what I did there was I let them soak for about 2 or 3 days, and then what I've found in my research is you don't want the like silty or kind of slimy stuff that winds up at the bottom of the black beans when you soak them. You want the kind of like the dye pigment that is on top of the water, or on top of the beans in the water. So yeah, so I like siphoned off the top part, and then I would let it rest so some of that stuff would, the sediment, that's the word I'm looking for, would settle back to the bottom of the bowl. So I took all that off, and I have all that dye stock in the fridge. But then I did take some of that bottom sediment color thing, color leftover bits, and I did just kind of chuck 2 minis in a bowl with that leftover stuff, and it's just been sitting on the countertop. The yarn has not been mordanted or anything. I do need to pre-mordant some yarn for the black bean dye. The pecan husks and the avocado pits have tannins in them naturally, which will adhere the color to the yarn, whereas the black beans don't, so that's why you need the mordant. I am getting ready to order a bunch of bare yarn so I can mordant them. I'm going to experiment with superwash, non-superwash. So I'm really curious to see what these minis do. I've also found in my research that heat can kill color in black bean dye. So I'm thinking what I'm going to do is mordant some skeins and then just put them in a container with a lid and let them sit for like a week. Supposedly that is a good way to get nice colors. You can kind of get like a blue, gray, purpley color. Yeah, so I might actually go wash that skein that I put in the, or the minis that I put in the leftovers today and just see if any of the color holds or whatnot. I think black bean isn't the greatest for color fastness. I do think that it tends to fade a little bit, which all color, even acid dyes, are gonna fade eventually. But anyway, the last thing that I do have is a bunch of avocado pits, and I kind of want to free up some of my jars and things before I start dyeing with those. I am going to do a few things differently than I did last time with my avocado pits. I have a bunch of them, and they range in age from like 4 months old to like maybe even like a week old at this point. So I had originally thought about putting individual jars inside my pot and kind of doing a double boiler situation, letting the water around it boil. But then that way I could put each pit in a jar and kind of see what different colors each pit was going to extract, especially with their age. These have all been sitting out on my countertop or windowsill since they've been eaten. Whereas last time I dyed with avocado pits, I put them in the freezer. So I'm curious to see what the color difference is from drying versus freezing, and again, what their age difference is going to be. At the same time, I would love to just throw them all in one pot and just have one big thing of stock instead of having like 8 different little jars of trying to organize. So we'll see. I haven't completely decided what I'm going to do with those yet. The only other thing I can think of as far as the avocados go is last time I think they got too hot. They got too close to a boil. I think you want to keep them around 170, 180 degrees to keep it kind of as a more pure pink color. Whereas I was kind of getting a brownish pink color, and then I had to add baking soda to the wash to get it to turn back to more red. I had to change the pH of the water. So we'll see what, oh, Revan's here. We'll see what that brings. So that's kind of my plant-based dyeing, natural dyeing ventures. I'm ordering up some bare yarn. I'm going to do some regular dyeing as well. I've got lots of ideas and lots of new colors that are brewing and ready to burst forth. So I was also thinking, I got such a good reception on the Advent colors, the crystals and gemstones colors, that I wanted to list them maybe for a few weeks at a time in the shop as pre-orders, and then I'll go ahead and dye those up. So I'm going to go ahead and put put garnet in the shop for January. And I'll probably, again, leave that listing up for 2 or 3 weeks and then take a week or two to dye all of those and then get them shipped out. So I think every month I'm just going to pick one of the stones or one of the colors that I really liked from the advent calendars, something that I think that I can recreate if I didn't write down the recipe. And yeah, I think that'll be a really nice addition to the shop, and some of y'all can get some of the colors if you really like them from the advent calendars. Hello, Revan. What do you have to say? So I believe that is everything. I feel like I've been talking for hours and hours now. I have not been reading or listening to or watching much. Like I said, I was kind of getting caught up on Vlogmas. Jason and I did watch the Witcher series on Netflix, and it was a little bit on the cheesy side, but we both enjoyed it. Guys, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap things up. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, you should go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss any new videos. I am going to pop some footage at the end here of my full Toad Hollow advent calendar. The way I kind of laid it out is the two big main sections are all going to be used in my Battenberg blanket, and then I have like six of the minis off to the side, and those are kind of in the more like traditional Christmas colors. So I've put them aside to make some Christmas socks this coming December. That feels weird to say. So I guess, yeah, you can add that to my Make 9 as well. And then there were two that just kind of aren't really my colors, aren't something that I think that I'll keep. I'll probably either destash them or keep them for a giveaway or something. And then you can see the full size skein. And then I think that I also took footage of my advent calendar, the crystals and gemstones. So if you wanted to see all of those colors laid out as well, that will all be at the end here. So again, thank you guys for joining me. It's been a while. Hopefully I'll have a little bit more knitting and less stuff content next time. So yeah, happy knitting.